Okay, this is the engine bay inspection video portion for the 2015 Subaru Forester. Pleased to report not too many concerns in here. We were able to inspect the crush rails, the crash rails, the core support for the radiator itself, the front end. There's no damage seen down in here, no collision damage. There is a small amount of rust, corrosion, oxidation you can see on the aluminum housing for the front timing cover, kind of working its way back. It's 10 years old. Very likely a northern, northwest, northeast, northern climate vehicle. That's the Subaru. So for its age, not too bad in here. The mileage, I think the mileage is a little bit low for the corrosion, the oxidation, but I'm not documenting any leaks in here. The timing cover is nice and dry. The belly pan up front's nice and dry. Original clips on the radiator, these spring constant tension clips. These hoses aren't swollen. That's nice to see. The AC compressor has been replaced previously, so at some point this vehicle's passed. So that says Vallejo. Vallejo is not a Subaru. That's a third party, or that's a parts store compressor. It would say Subaru or Denso or something like that on the compressor, like you would see this alternator here. To me, that looks like a Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. So yeah, that would be an OE supplier for Japanese parts. Mitsubishi, Denso, NGK, Aisin, Jatco. Those are the kind of brands I want to see under here. So Vallejo is an American made in the USA part. So it has been replaced at least once. If this vehicle sat a lot, the bearings, the lubrication in the compressor, it might start dry, it might have worn out. So it's already on its second compressor. I wonder what happened to the first one. The line, the suction line returned to the compressor is cold to the touch, but it should be much colder. It might be a little bit low on refrigerant. It's also a little bit loud. So there's kind of a ring of pistons inside those compressors that as they wear out, they lose compression. It works very similar to an engine, and they can't squeeze the refrigerant back down. So more than likely, since this is the second compressor in under 10 years, I'm less likely to believe that it's a leak down. I'm more likely to believe this compressor is going out. However, I don't have the machine here. That's off the cuff. So to confirm that diagnosis, we would still need to evacuate the refrigerant and then fill it back up, or at least evacuate it and compare it to what the car is rated for. So if we look over here, we should have an AC sticker somewhere. I'm not seeing one, but the vehicles would tell us how much refrigerant needs to be in there. So we would just subtract the difference and see if there's a difference. If there's not a difference and the refrigerant level is the same, then I'm looking elsewhere. And because I'm hearing mechanical noise from the compressor, I would start leaning towards thinking it would be a failing compressor. But again, I can't definitively say that because we don't have access to the machine in this kind of setting. So I'm not ready to jump and say that specifically is a bad compressor, but I don't necessarily like hearing the noise that I'm hearing. It is running all the time, which could mean that the pressures are indeed low. So a compressor is meant to cycle. It'll build pressures up, and there's a temperature sensor and a pressure sensor, and those will cycle. Temperature drops, pressure comes up, so on, and they work together. And that clutch is supposed to kick on and off. When the pressure in the line is low, it will just run 100% duty cycle. So again, we need the next step is check levels. Evacuate the refrigerant, find out how much is in there, and you go from there. But in any case, it's not getting very cold in the cab. We're coming up on summer, so you'd want to get that addressed. The prospective buyer would want to get that addressed soon. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and give the engine bay a clean bill of health. No smells, no leaks, no concerns of fluids in here. No concerns at this time with the engine bay, thank you. Excuse me, other than the AC compressor. This is the exterior inspection of the 2015 Subaru Forester. So right away we'll start with front left wheel. We are missing what appears to be a cap on one of the acorn lug nuts. Might be a security lock. I don't think so. I think it's just missing a cap there. You're going to want to get that replaced when these tires come off, or get it replaced. Rust will get up in there and it will seize that lug nut to the stud and it'll snap it off. So then you'll have to, it's a whole disassembly to get into the wheel hub to get that off. So just get the lug nut replaced as soon as possible. We're going to walk the vehicle. We're checking for cosmetic damage, collision damage, deviations in paint. The vehicle is a little bit dusty, but the metallic flake is pretty easy to see, and the lighting out here is good enough that I'm going to look for deviations in orange peel, like texturing changes and things like that, metallic flake changes. So right away we've got a little bit of scuffing to the wheel here. Front left quarter panel, we're looking for gaps in the paneling, making sure everything's square. Front left quarter panel looks good. A pillar is good. Coming around. B-pillar is good. Checking rocker panels, making sure that those aren't hanging off or they don't look like they're significantly shifted. Looks good. Following back to B panel, that's good. Cargo rack does get a clean bill of health. I didn't see any concerns up there. Walking to the back, looking for squareness and deviations on the bumper cover. Coming up, going to go ahead and tug on the bumper cover a little bit, checking for looseness. No concerns there. Possible the bumper cover may have been repainted or maybe oxidized. I'm seeing a little bit of what maybe looks like crazing or something here. I suspect that this might have been touched up right here, resprayed, which is pretty common if there's been luggage in and out. Not a concern. So walking around to right rear, checking gaps on bumper cover, fuel door, any sort of damage there, shifting on fuel door, checking C-pillar. C-pillar is good. Checking wheel. No cosmetic. Checking B-pillar. Square. Rocker board is square. We're checking A-pillar to front quarter panel, square. Bumper cover. Slight deviation at the top of bumper cover. Now, if you have to ever replace a lamp or get in and out of this bumper cover for maybe radar controls, cruise, ADAS, things like that, this has to come on and off. Sometimes those clips will get a little tired, but it's not actually broken, so no concerns there. So following around to front hood, we're going to check for dips or deviations in the front hood gap. No concerns there. Coming around to front, checking for any collision damage, any pushed in fog lights, any concerns there. Not seeing anything there. Pulling on the bumper cover. It's a little bit loose over here. There's a little bit of a deviation right here, but that's probably what caused it. Little kiss right here. These, like I said, these clips are pretty fragile, so it doesn't even, I don't want to say right away that it is broken, but it did get shifted a little bit right here. You can kind of see that paint transfer there. A little bit of rubbing compound would take that off, but I didn't see any damage into the vehicle itself, into the structure. Looks like a little bit of transfer there as well. So I am going to go ahead and give the exterior a pass at this time. Thank you. All right, this is the underbody inspection of the 2015 Forester. It's nice to see that the vehicle, I'm going to say it actually, I think it was cared for to the point of being washed underneath. So I do see just the start on some of the steel superstructure or the subframe on front control arm areas and things like that. But this strikes me as a vehicle that was used in the wintertime, but also washed as well. So kind of there's not any significant depth to any of the rust. It's very, very superficial, almost bordering on really kind of just dirt. You can kind of see just a little bit right there. So least concern on that. Walking to the rear, it's got a professionally mounted receiver for a trailer hitch. Checking rear subframe. The rear subframe would be a good place to start looking for rust and things on these vehicles. It's very minor back here. So again, leading me to believe this vehicle was wintered, but also washed. So that's nice to see. Moving around to right rear, same deal. Patina's all the same. Not seeing any signs of high centering, missing components, mechanical damage. There's actually pretty minimal amount of rust on the exhaust, which is nice to see for its age. The flange, the center flange on the flange to flange for the pipe on the exhaust is nice and solid, not crusty, crispy. Moving to front right subframe mounts, looks good there. There is a little bit of wetness right where the front differential mates with the transmission case housing itself. Is that leak from a drain fill plug? Is it RTV gasket? It's not dripping on the ground, it is wet. Let's document that at this time. Moving to front of vehicle, checking splash shield, belly pan. Dampness on the back, but would appear to be probably likely the position of the drain port for the oil. So, and I don't see any drips, and it's not shiny, and looks pretty arrested, or that's what happens when you have a belly pan over oil service ports. So with the exception of the wetness on the, it's kind of hard to see, I apologize, with the exception on the diff, the diff casing for the front of the transmission, I am going to go ahead and give the underside a pass. I'd like that little wetness documented. It'd be good to get the vehicle lifted and inspected for the prospective buyer or the purchaser for them to know what's progressing under there. It's not a very common leak to see an RTV gasket go on the front diff to transmission housing. So I'm not ready to go ahead and say that that's what that is. It could very well be just a leaky crush washer seal on one of the drain ports, maybe on the front diff. So I am going to go ahead, with the exception of that little wetness on the diff, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pass the underbody at this time. Thank you. This is the interior inspection of the 2015 Subaru Forester. So we'll go from left to right. The seat has some leather tears and punctures in it. The horn does not work. The upper steering wheel has lost a lot of its coating. It's leather. It's very common with people that wear hand lotion and things like that, because this is skin and that's skin. It was skin, and it gets soft and kind of comes off. Same deal here, you know, elbow, skin, things like that. It's taking it down to the cloth. Not too much wear on the parking brake, not too much wear on the shift knob. This HVAC vent's pretty chowdered. It's not too expensive of a fix. You do have to pop the center console off, knock this thing out and replace it. It's not a hard thing to do. Backup camera does work. Infotainment does not work. So there's no buttons in here, nothing works. It could be related to, you know, needing to be programmed, whether it's an internal failure from a battery replacement. That's an issue. The overhead lights do not work in any position. The sunroof does open and close. The biggest concern in the vehicle right at this time is the horn. The horn does not work. This is a safety item. You need to be able to alert people around you. For those of you that don't live in the city of Spokane, you need a horn. So if you ever come to Spokane, this guy's got to work. I've used it probably 3 or 4 times this weekend in the last 72 hours. So you need to be able to alert people when they're coming over on you, people that aren't checking their mirrors, they're not checking their blind spots. So I cannot pass the interior at this time. This should not be too expensive of a fix. Typically it's not going to be the clock spring in this case. The clock spring allows power to get to the controls for the instrument controls. Like, so if you see up here, I can scroll through stuff. So that tells me that this thing's still getting power, and the clock spring also powers the airbag module. So that lets you turn the steering wheel all the way left and right without losing power. And if the clock spring was bad, we'd have dead power all across here. The airbag module would not work and the horn would not work. But since it's just the horn, what it leads me to believe is either there's a disconnect up front that was not observed, maybe the horn mechanism, the assembly is bad itself, there's a wiring fault somewhere, or the contactor in the steering wheel itself is bad. So either way, none of that is really an expensive fix, but it is an emergency item, and that will not allow me to pass the interior at this time until that would be rectified. So thank you very much. This is the trunk inspection of the 2015 Subaru Forester. It's nice to see the rubberized mats. Again, more signs that vehicle was a wintered vehicle, but it's, again, you know, keeping the carpet clean and things like that. So these are usually aftermarket. You have to ask the dealer for these. We got quite a set of components in here, so I couldn't tell you where they all go. We're gonna go ahead and pull up the mat here. Looks like we may be missing the left vanity cover for the toolkit. The toolkit's mostly gone out of here, incomplete. We're gonna lift up the foam here. Spare tire's gone. Looks like there is the chunk of what the vanity cover goes over there. So spare tire's gone, roadside kit's largely gone, toolkit's nothing in here. So get that replaced soonest convenience. Don't be left on the side of the road without that. Other than missing componentry, I'm going to go ahead and give the trunk a pass with context that there's not been any neglect or abuse back here. If it did, sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. They did come with these kind of vanity covers, these slide kind of covers. If the vehicle's tinted, it's not that big of a concern. It's more of a privacy thing. So, and again, that can be optioned from the dealer as well. So with the exception of the missing parts below, again, I don't see neglect or abuse or any concerns there. So on that context, I'm going to pass the trunk. Thank you. This is the code scan portion for the 2015 Subaru Forester. So almost nothing remarkable in here, nothing really comment worthy, but we'll go over what we do find. We've got one code is a historical code for power supply for the power steering, the EPS rack. Real common when the battery dies, when vehicles are in transport, when vehicles go to auction, when vehicles sit on lots, the batteries run down. The newer the vehicle is, the faster that battery runs down, because the more systems are actually running always on with the battery connected. So it's more uncommon to see a lack of a battery code in here, historical battery code issues, than there is to see them. So no concerns with that. We're going to scroll up here. We've got body control module. Yeah, it's reporting battery supply malfunction. So either the battery ran down or was replaced, or both, and charged up. No concerns there. And tire pressure monitoring system. There is no current issue with the tire pressure monitoring system. So, and this is labeled as a historical code. So at some point in time, which is very common, the tire pressure monitoring system batteries and the tires don't last but 5, 6, 7 years. So on the outside, so Code scan gets a pass, codes come back clear, no concerns with what we see in here. Thank you very much. This is the conclusions video for the 2015 Subaru Forester. The vehicle drove fine on the highway. No concerns with tracking. The suspension's nice and tight. The brakes are good. High-speed lane changes. The transmission performed as it should. It is a CVT transmission. Didn't document any concerns with slippage at this time. Throttle response was good, so no concerns on the road test. Cosmetically, the vehicle is largely in good condition. It reflects its age. It's 10 years old. A little bit of some paint transfer here. Minor concerns. That might be related just from something coming by right here. Low speed, maybe a parking lot kind of ding situation like that. We didn't document any damage under the engine in the engine bay inspection for that damage to the front bumper cover. The underbody, with the exception of the wetness on the diff casing, came back with a clean bill of health. The interior was the biggest issue. The horn does not work, the radio does not work. That vent for the driver in the center console is broken. The armrest, the seat, and the overhead lights do not work. And again, the horn is the biggest concern. So the vehicle as a whole, I do not have a problem passing the vehicle as a whole. The horn is the biggest concern. I would rate that as a higher concern even than the air conditioner, because that is a safety item. Just like brakes, suspension, steering, horn is right up there, more so than any other item in the driver facing controls. You need to be able to have that horn working to protect you. So again, I am going to pass the vehicle as a whole. That needs to be addressed, and that's the top priority, is that horn. Thank you.